Welcome to this episode of Horrific History and Hauntings. I'm Beth.
And I'm Ramie. We're your hosts, here to talk about the stories that the history books ignore.
From horrific epidemics and ghostly hauntings to the catastrophes and tragic events that have sickened humanity.
Beth, what are we talking about today? And is there a thing that happened in history today?
We are going to talk about the Edinburgh, Scotland Vaults. Today in history, October 19th is the day we're recording. On October 19th, 1991, a fire started in the hills of Oakland, California. Shocker.
That tends to happen a lot.
Yeah. It destroyed thousands of homes and killed 25 people. People continued to rebuild homes there even though wildfires had burned the same area 3 times before in 1923, 1971, and 1980. Each fire occurred in the fall of the year that was dry. The 1991 fire began from a small blaze at 7151 Buckingham Boulevard. The firefighters thought they had it under control. However, the heat caused pine needles to fall, which helped the fire to restart.
And they burn fast.
Yes. On October 20th at 10:45 a.m., strong winds blew a hidden fire up a hillside. The fire was spread quickly in different directions because of changing wind patterns. Nearly 800 buildings were burning within an hour because of the dry conditions and intense winds. Temperatures reached 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit in some areas as the fire moved towards San Francisco Bay.
Well, if it's got to go somewhere, the bay is probably the best.
It became nearly impossible to fight. The water supply was often cut off when pipes burst from the heat, meaning homeowners who tried to hose down their houses before it reached them were not able to. It only took about 10 minutes for some homes to burn down completely, and this is because they had wood shingles.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Firefighters struggled to battle the flames due to steep hills and narrow streets, which made it hard to move large fire trucks and to communicate. By the time the fire was under control, the next day, 25 people had died, 150 were injured, and 3,000 homes and 1,500 acres were destroyed. By the end of the fires, it caused $1.5 billion in damage. Because of this, new fires laws were introduced in an attempt to prevent future fires. These laws limited the height of trees and regulated the types of plants allowed in the area. And most of the homes that were rebuilt no longer had the wooden roofs as well. And that's all for today in history. Now back to Edinburgh.
I have no idea what this vault is.
Oh, I'll explain it.
Yeah, that's the hope.
It's haunted.
Okay.
The Edinburgh Vaults are chambers formed within the 19 arches of the South Bridge. Edinburgh was built on 7 hills that made it difficult to travel. So to improve this, a series of bridges were constructed, with the South Bridge being the second. It was completed in 1788, but was thought to be cursed from the very start. The city's oldest resident was a well-respected judge's wife, was supposed to be the first to cross the bridge. However, she passed away before its construction was finished. She was still the first person to cross it, though. She was just carried across in her coffin on the opening day.
A promise is a promise.
This fueled superstition among the locals, and some would refuse to cross the bridge and would take the long ways around town. Despite the superstitions, the demand for space in Edinburgh led to shops moving in beneath the bridge's arches. These spaces were not ideal. They were dark, damp, and water leaked into them. They would fully flood as well. Within 30 years, the vaults were deserted. Desperate locals, pretty much the poor folks in bad shape and the criminals, along with immigrants that were escaping the Irish potato famine, sought shelter in the neglected vaults.
Oh, I have heard of this.
Okay.
I don't remember much about it.
Okay. Because of this, the vaults became a breeding ground for disease and criminal activities. It became Edinburgh's red light district, pretty much.
Under the bridge?
Yep.
Oh.
They were also said to be used to store bodies of the deceased, which were then sold to the University of Edinburgh's medical school.
Smart.
Yeah, there's a whole thing about that. They couldn't find bodies to do research and help teach.
There's a whole episode of Sawbones about it.
Yeah. It's believed that the murderers, William Burke and William Hare, used the vaults as part of their crimes. They murdered 16 people to sell their bodies to Dr. Robert Knox, who paid a good price for the cadavers. While it's uncertain whether some of the killings actually took place within the vaults, it's thought that they used the tunnels to conceal the bodies before delivering them to Knox. By the 1860s, authorities took action by evicting everyone from the tunnels and sealing the vaults with rubble to prevent others from moving in. They were neglected and hidden for over a century until an accidental excavation in the 1980s. They discovered everyday objects such as old toys, horseshoes, and dinner plates that were left behind by those who once called the vaults home.
I'm sure that wasn't an orderly evacuation. They just kind of ushered them out
Probably.
and then began laying stone.
Yeah. Now the vaults are considered one of the most haunted places in the UK. Countless visitors have reported unsettling experiences such as being pinched, scratched, jabbed, or grabbed by unseen forces. 2 girls were actually said to have been held up against a wall during a drinking party that was being held in one of the rooms one time. Rocks and stones have been thrown at people. Many have also heard unexplained noises such as whispers, footsteps, children crying, and singing. Apparitions and shadows are frequently seen as well.
That doesn't sound like a pleasant place to chill.
No.
Let's go have a drinking party in the vaults.
It was, I want to say, like a frat thing. They knocked down one of the walls, and I want to say it was in the 70s. These college kids knocked down the
When
walls
did that
and had
hazing
that
party happen that the statue killed the guy in one of our other episodes?
Oh, I don't know. One of the more frequently reported encounters is with a ghostly figure known as Mr. Boots.
That sounds like...
A cat.
Oh, is it a cat?
No,
Oh.
it's not, but it sounds like a cat. It is definitely not a cat.
Yeah, but it also made me think of the Crooked Man for some reason.
Well, he is tall, shabby, and he's ill-natured.
Of course.
He's said to haunt the back section of the vaults, and visitors have reported hearing his heavy footsteps approaching them and following them.
That explains the boots.
Mm-hmm. Some believe that Mr. Boots is the ghost of a homeless man who once lived in the vaults, or possibly even a murderer.
Well, why not? We might as well just go to that extreme.
Yep. All that is really, I guess you would say, known. I don't know if it's true or not, obviously. But one of the psychics that visited said that he was not a good man at all.
You better be happy he wears boots instead of something like fluffy slippers. You would never hear him coming.
Mr. Boots has also been captured in a photograph standing next to a girl. Actually, he's behind her. I have it down here if you want to see.
Oh, well, that is eerie, isn't it?
Yeah. People say he will stand and watch them while making groaning and growling sounds as well. How inappropriate.
Are you sure he ain't a puppy?
One theory suggests that the stone of the Edinburgh Vaults acts like a psychic recording device that can capture the energy and impressions of the past events and is able to replay them in projections from the past. There's a word for it, but I forgot what it is. From what I understand, there's what they call intelligent ghosts or spirits.
And then there's the ones that just repeat themselves.
Yes. The intelligent ones are the ones that can somewhat interact with people. The not intelligent ones are just like visions of the past or projections of the past that just keep repeating over and over.
Yeah. Dramatic event projection things.
Yeah.
We've all heard about them if you're anything like us and into ghosts or stories like that.
In the case of Mr. Boots, this theory could suggest that visitors aren't really seeing a ghost, but rather just kind of a recording of a man who was frequently in the vaults in the past. But look at this picture, though. It looks like there's 2 eyeballs.
That's in the distance, yeah. He's looking at the eyeballs in the distance, which I believe are just lights on the wall.
Yeah.
But he is there. I do see something, real or not. I see it.
It kind of looks like there's a face directly behind her as well.
A little bit, yeah. But for some reason, I just assumed it was a bathroom with mirrors and assumed that was a mirror. But that's probably not right.
I don't think there's bathrooms here.
It makes no sense.
There might be. I don't know.
People live there. Somebody used some place as a bathroom.
Well, yeah, but you have to remember it was, I want to say, in the 1700s.
Chamber pot. Somebody had a chamber pot room somewhere.
It's believed that a young woman was brutally murdered in the vaults as well.
I'm sure there was a lot of people died.
Probably many. She was said to have been lured down to the vault by 2 men that she was meeting, only to be met by a group of up to 30 who attacked and killed her.
She was waylaid.
Yeah. The fact that there were so many involved meant that no one was ever held accountable for her death, which left her case unsolved.
Paper's expensive, and we could not fill out all the paperwork for this.
And she was probably poor, so they didn't care as much.
You shouldn't have went to the vaults in the first place.
That's awful.
That's what they're saying, not me.
Oh, okay.
I don't mean that.
Oh, okay.
I'd go to the vaults. I'd be like, let's chill in the vaults. This place looks cool.
Yeah. The damp, mildewy, dungy vaults.
Grungy.
Yeah, grungy.
Dungeon-esque might work too.
Yeah. Her spirit is thought to still linger in the vaults, hoping for justice. Some visitors claim to have seen her apparition. One account came from a tour guide who witnessed a young boy on a tour interacting with an invisible presence on the steps. This is where the body of the woman was discovered in 1797. The boy described seeing a woman and mentioned that the men had been bad to the lady.
Oh.
It's believed that this could have been the spirit of Elizabeth Ann Morrison. Her skull was found shattered into multiple pieces, so it's believed that she was stopped on the stairs and her head was beat severely into the steps. Agnes is another spirit thought to still roam the rooms. She was accused of witchcraft and burned to death, which leads me to another episode that I will have to go into eventually, the Scotland
Is that the one I sent you?
witch trials. I don't know.
I sent you one about those.
Maybe, but I remembered it because of this. She was accused of witchcraft and burned to death. Numerous witch trials were held on the streets where the entrance to the vaults is located. Agnes was accused of 20 counts of witchcraft, including an incident where she allegedly cursed a young boy who bumped into her, which led to him being paralyzed and then dying 2 days afterward.
Are you sure it wasn't like polio that done that?
Probably. It probably wasn't. Poor Agnes got the blame for it.
Yeah.
It's believed that she also cursed the area of the vaults.
It sounds like they were like that from the get-go.
In 1995, a group of Wiccans chose one of the vault's chambers for their rituals. They placed a stone circle within this particular room with the intention of creating a safe space. Those who have entered the circle report experiencing a range of disturbing things such as scratches, cuts, bruises, and others described psychological problems such as sleep paralysis and unsettling visions of shadows in their own homes after they left.
Build another circle at home.
Or just don't walk into the circle.
Yeah, so much for the safe space. It sounds like a trick, like leave a bad
Well,
B&B
the
review.
circle, they were trying, I believe, to trap whatever this bad entity
a
was in the
binding
circle.
or
Yeah.
something like that.
So
Okay.
in the circle is not good, but it was supposed to protect what was outside of the circle from it.
That's why Mrs. Winchester built her house the way she did.
Yeah. It's believed that the stone circle has trapped this malevolent entity inside of it. Apparently not, because if it's going home with people,
They only have enough for one night stay.
I guess, furlough.
Yeah.
In the 1700s, merchants would pay children to climb up the chimneys in some of the rooms that had fireplaces so that they could clean them because only children and small bodies could get up there. Sometimes those kids did not come back down.
That's going to make a really bad smell.
From what I understand, the only way to get them back out was to start the fire.
It's awful.
Yes. One of the fireplaces was bricked up, and when they went to get it running again for safety reasons, when they were turning it into a place for tours, they discovered small bone fragments. When they were sent to get tested, it was discovered that the bones belonged to a young boy ranging from ages 7 to 12.
Now, I wonder if he could have fell down from above just exploring one day.
That's also a possibility, I guess.
Both cases are bad.
But from what I understand, they would go up there and possibly fall and break their necks. And like I said, from the information I got, about the only way to get them back down was to start the fire and burn them down, I guess. The vaults was a place where poor families lived, as I mentioned before, so many children were born and died in them. Visitors have reported hearing the sounds of children's laughter, singing, crying, and playing. They're also said to be more of the mischievous ones. Visitors have reported unseen hands tugging at their clothes or what feels like children kicking at their ankles.
That would infuriate me. I'd be putting up safe space circles, timeout spaces.
In a little corner.
Yeah, the circle.
Get in the corner.
Get in the binding circle.
Batteries are also said to drain in electronic devices, and it's believed that they are also responsible for the throwing of objects within the vaults, such as stones.
That would explain the peevish behavior.
There's one in particular named Jack that's mischievous. The Great Fire of Edinburgh in 1824 ravaged the city above, but those in the vaults were not spared. Hundreds died of asphyxiation and smoke inhalation.
You would assume that would be a safer space.
You would think, but the stone conducted the heat.
Oh, no, you're
Apparently.
in an oven.
Yeah.
That's not great at all.
Yeah. Authorities would also sometimes lock the main entrance to the vaults, and they didn't worry about the poor people down below.
They were told not to go in there. Back then, things like that could just be overlooked, I guess.
A few weeks after the fires were extinguished, authorities discovered a gruesome scene when they unlocked the doors to find the dead.
Oops.
Yeah. Well, it's said that some made the choice to take their own lives rather than burn to death. And it's even said that some parents were driven to make the awful choice to slit their own children's throats to spare them from the agonizing pain of burning to death.
That's a horrible place to be. Why would anybody want
Yeah.
to live in the city in a time like this?
I guess they had no choice.
You could get up and walk out. It's a city. You might not have no roof over your head, but you also don't have to live with other people. And
Yes,
the
it was
hunger.
a crowded area
Yeah.
as well. I'm sure extremely unsanitary. Well, it said disease, so yeah.
If what I've heard is true and seen is true, then they had vagrancy laws against going out into the countryside without homes. So maybe that's why, I guess.
really don't know.
Better in the vault than locked up in somewhere else.
Tour guides report having to cut tours short due to visitors experiencing in this area where the fire, I guess, happened the most.
Where the fire was felt the most.
Yes. People will report breathing difficulties and burning sensations on their skin and an overwhelming feeling of panic in that area. But another interesting little thing is even today, unexplored rooms have yet to be discovered. There's some that's blocked up, including one area that's believed to be most used by the 2 William murderers I mentioned before. And some paranormal investigators tried to entice the murderers, and a handprint was left on the one that was used as the
victim. And
the one pretending to be a corpse.
Someone pretended to be a corpse.
Yes, to see if the 2 murderers would come snatch her body to sell her ghost.
I was wondering why they used a fake corpse.
Yeah. I would like them to knock down those and see what's up there.
Yeah, I would be curious. It makes me think of the old hidden places under France you hear about.
The catacombs.
Yes.
Did you know there's apparently a flooded part of that you're not supposed to? It's actually, I think, a law you're not supposed to do it, but people will go diving in it.
Yeah. The book World War Z covers them quite extensively. That and the British ones, I'm pretty sure. I might be getting them mixed up, but I know World War Z covers a bunch of catacombs. I'm pretty sure it's the French ones.
Probably. So what was your favorite, or which story did you find the most unsettling from this episode?
The feeling of panic because of a fire
Yeah.
in the catacombs. I would not enjoy that.
No. I don't know. I think the having to slit your own kid's throat part would be pretty shitty.
I think that's part of the whole feeling of panic in the catacombs. I think the fire one covered it all.
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned about murderers on the prowl or what some woman was doing following people back here. That poor woman.
Probably trying to make money.
Oh, she might have been that. Okay, that makes more sense. Goodness, woman, to the catacombs? Oh.
Where else are they going to go if they have no money?
It looks like they should host if they're paying.
True.
I guess they can't take it back to their wife, though, so that might not work.
That's all for this Horror in a Hurry episode.
Oh, yes. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I had forgotten all about most of these stories. I didn't hear all of them. I just hear about Mysteries of the Abandoned, I'm pretty sure. I've seen this place on that, and they never covered all the haunting stuff, of course.
Well, I was watching, I think it's Most Haunted Places. It's a BBC show.
There's an American one, too.
This one was a BBC show, and I found it on Amazon.
Yeah, I like these little hurry ones. They're fun.
Yeah. And they're really interesting, but like I said,
just not enough to cover a whole.
Yeah, some of them I wouldn't have even bothered because I'd have been like, well, that's not going to be an episode. But you know what? It can be.
Yeah.
It's just a short one.
Yep.
And it's interesting.
If you like what you had here, we have other podcasts. We have Leveling Duo. It's a podcast where me and Beth talk about video games, or me and my friend Dakota. It depends on who was here. And it don't come out so often, but when we do play a new video game we really enjoy, we'll talk about something on that. We have Brother Knows Quest. It's a podcast where I talk about tabletop role-playing games with Beth here and show her a new one each week. If you want to find all of our content, there'll be a Linktree link in the description. The first link in that Linktree will be our website for Gruesome Gaming Group. It's our podcast network, like I said. And once you click on that, you'll find all of our other episodes and podcasts there. Or you can just Google search them or search for them on your podcast app of choice. There'll be links to all of our socials. You can reach out through any of them and talk to us. And there'll also be 2 links below the Linktree link to emails. You can just email us. There's 2 emails. Either one of them will get to us. And if you want something to be read out on the show for any reason, just say so. Otherwise, we will not read it out, or we will not read out your name if we think it's interesting. Same for the reviews. If you want us to talk about the reviews that you leave, we appreciate them when you leave them. Please do. We'll happily do that if you mention that it's okay to do so. Anything else I should say? There's a link below all those links. If you want to leave a tip for us, that's appreciated. It helps keeps the podcast hosted. Thank you for listening to this Horrific History and Hauntings, Horror in a Hurry. I just wanted to see if I could say it. Episode. I have been Ramie.
And I'm Beth.
Bye-bye.